Hello and welcome to Little Birdie's sports show of a Monday, First Look. I'm your host, Nikki Sylvester. First Look is proudly brought to you by Little Birdie TV, topsport.com.au, Punting Form and Manscaped. Today we are going to roll through the AFL review for round 3 and the NRL review for round 4. I do have MG in the studio with me today. How are you?
Good, thanks, Nikki. Testing weekend on a few fronts for me, but I've made it through to the Monday. Had an interesting day at the cousin's wedding.
Yes.
Lost a computer, car broken into, so didn't set up the weekend too great. But anyway, we've found a backup computer. We're ready to roll for this week. So the AFL is cracking week overall, really. There's some really close finishes, some crazy finishes as well. There's some real momentum swings in these games we've seen in the first 3 rounds. Obviously, the Dogs and the Swans were close. We had Adelaide after the siren, crazy comeback as well. And Collingwood putting on a show in their third quarter, and then the Cats running back over them. So, it was a crazy weekend in more ways than one.
Yeah, we finally got some entertainment in the AFL. We were all on the edges of our seats yesterday as well, watching the Carlton-Hawthorn game, hoping that the Hawks got over the line. They didn't. Toprope, how are you?
I'm just, is this where I come to speak to someone about a pay rise at Little Birdie? Couldn't need that after what was one of the complete strip outs. Not a great weekend at all, thanks, Nick. Thanks for asking.
Well, yeah, I'm guessing you didn't particularly enjoy yesterday's game either.
Didn't enjoy yesterday's game, didn't enjoy any of the footy, really. We had one game that was with 14 points. That was nearly the first try-less game in 29 years. The Titans and Tigers came down to the last play where the Titans scored an unlikely try to snatch victory from the winless Tigers in a game that has quite correctly been hailed as the worst game of the season, potentially the worst game of the decade. So got us off to an absolute shocker of a start and didn't really see a lot in between.
I did think it was interesting. I was reading some commentary from the coach after the West Tigers game, and he actually thought that they were playing okay. He actually thinks that the team is okay for what's been happening to them. And I just thought, this man's delusional.
Yep, there's people who live in fairyland, and then there's Michael Maguire, who's completely off his rocker. I'd be looking into his mental health right now, because if he thinks they're playing well, the week before he said he thinks Luke Brooks is a representative player, and now he thinks they're playing okay. Seriously, this bloke, if he's the guy in charge of sending your club forward, you're in a lot of strife. I'm very, very glad he's at the West Tigers.
Sounds like there's some coaches on your dartboard here, Toprope, early in the season.
There's always coaches on the dartboard, MG, but luckily they're now on the dartboard of a few CEOs, I'd say. So Trent Barrett, Kevin Walters, Michael Maguire, all looking at imminent dismissal, I'd say. I'd say we'll see at least one of those all round 8, possibly 2 or 3 as the carousel rolls on. And St George's Anthony Griffin, North Queensland, Todd Payton, not entirely safe either. So just there's been some absolutely aside from the kind of delusional comments of Michael Maguire, Trent Barrett dropping Canterbury's best defensive centre so they can play a reformed halfback, and it's ridiculous. Anthony Griffin dropping his 2 best young players for the Saints, ridiculous. Justin Holbrook at the Titans, not in strife for a job, but when they had to make some team changes, switching these entire side around, they got completely disjointed in the game. They should have, they jumped 10.5 point favourites. They were entitled to win that by 20 points, but absolutely got nothing out of it from their coach. So, the depth of coaching there is certainly an issue. And I'm going to be very, very happy when we start seeing the axe hang over a few of them.
Okay, we're going to come back to Toprope a little bit later, but now we're going to go to the AFL Round 3 review with MG. Okay, let's go through the results. So the Western Bulldogs, they beat Sydney 71-60 in a thriller on Thursday night. Then Melbourne took care of the Bombers 99-70. Adelaide beat Port Adelaide 96-92. The GWS beat the Gold Coast 83-57. Collingwood lost 91-104 to Geelong. Brisbane, they dominated the Kangaroos 156-48. Carlton in a thriller yesterday 74-73 against the Hawks. St Kilda, they beat Richmond 117-84, and the West Coast sadly lost to Fremantle 47-102. MG.
Yeah, we've got a couple of obviously the state teams playing there with the showdown in the derby. So one was unbelievable, Adelaide winning after the siren, and the other one
Terrible.
was turned off very early. It was a disgraceful game to watch the West Coast. I don't know where they're at. Obviously, they've got a lot of players out, but I think the Towers not far off being thrown in for the West Coast. But yeah, just run down them. Bulldogs had to get a win against Sydney. They were they were in for the fight for a long way. Melbourne just did the job against Essendon. They look like they're in a second or third gear at the moment, just doing enough to get the W's on the board. Obviously, Adelaide winning after the siren, unbelievable comeback. Port should have won that game and let it slip. GWS, Gold Coast, I don't take much form out of that. Gold Coast aren't travelling well at all, especially on the road. Collingwood-Geelong was probably close to the best match of the round. Collingwood actually lit it up in the third quarter and got a big run on and looked like, well, they should have had the game done at 6 goals in front. Not to kick a goal in the last quarter and let Geelong run over, and Geelong actually covered the late line in the end, which was unbelievable. So big win for the Cats, and then Brisbane just annihilated Kangaroos. Kangaroos are in for a long season, as we know. Brisbane just clicking along 3-0. Unbelievable game also, the Carlton Hawks. Again, Carlton should have put them away. Hawthorn come back, just couldn't get over the line. And then poor old Richmond, they had a lead again. And the Saints, I think they kicked 8 or 9 in a row at one stage, so to turn that game around. So, yeah, there's some big momentum swings going on in the AFL at the moment, and a few coaches have got problems stopping them at the moment. So I think the timeout rule might need to be brought in for some of these games at the moment.
Interesting.
We'll just have a quick look at the stats from the weekend. It was a pretty solid week for the punters overall. If you're a favourite punter, 7 out of 9, 6 of those covered. Even split the totals at the moment, and the home teams are faring pretty well. You can see there on the season, the favourites running at 70%, covers at 56%. Slight leading to the overs at the moment till it settles down, I think, and the home teams are probably down on par at 63% at the moment. So that's the stats from the week 3.
Okay, and if we just quickly have a look at MG's round 3 AFL Sting results, the season tally. What are we after round 3? 0-3.
Yeah, not pretty reading. Sydney had their chances late in the game. They got it back with a minute to go to 5 points. Unfortunately, Richmond got the last goal of the game. A lot of movement in the GWS Gold Coast. I thought with the rain not going out, they got off to a good start, slowed up, unfortunately. And as we've spoken about, Richmond led by 25 points and probably had a chance for a knockout blow and did not score a goal after a contentious, free kick that ended up and skilled a goal. And since then, they just ran away. And Richmond were pretty poor at the crossroads.
If we just quickly take a look at the AFL Premiership market, MG, any thoughts here?
Yeah, well, not too much movement. I think Melbourne were $4 last week, so I don't think they make any difference. Brisbane have come in a little bit. Obviously, the Bulldogs winning. Carlton continue to firm. I think they're going to be unders all year. Got a very easy draw, Carlton, so they could be well entrenched in the top 4 come halfway through the season if they keep playing at their level. But just for me, I think away from the top 2, I think it's a bit of guesswork at this stage. So you can see a few getting out. Port Power have drifted out to $19, so there'd be no takers there. But yeah, I couldn't play away from the top 2 at the moment if I was having a bet.
Yeah, you've been with Brisbane the whole way, so we'll just continue on with the Lions.
Yeah, they're going okay.
Okay, now if we have a quick look at Thursday night's games, so we've got round 4, Port Adelaide, Melbourne, 7:40 at Adelaide Oval on Thursday night. Approximate betting prices at the moment, Port Adelaide $2.80, Melbourne $1.42, and the line's looking to be about 15.5.
Yeah, good push early here. Last night they were at 11 and 13 for Melbourne. I think that's a bit on the low side, so you see the market just sharpen a bit. So there's a range of 14 to 16 out there at the moment. I know it's only Monday morning price, so it'd be interesting to see how far they push Melbourne at this stage for Port. I just think the money will probably tend to go Melbourne for a bit, at least up to maybe the 3-goal mark at this stage before it settles out. So basically got Port, haven't won a game yet. They've got another game at home. Melbourne are 3-0, as we just said. Yep. They're going along well, Melbourne. I don't think they're they're in second or third gear for mine. They're just getting the job done, but that's okay. As long as you're getting enough W's on the board, which is what Port would be praying for this week. So if they go down 0-4, Port, their season's not far off being done for mine. And I just think this is a good matchup, a good spot for Melbourne, actually. I know Port are going to be at home, but at the moment, Port are having trouble in their offensive half. They're only averaging about 70 points. Melbourne only give up 70 on the defence, so it's evenly matched. And on the reverse, Melbourne are kicking average in the 90 points and Port have given up the 90. So that's where I think the line should be around the 3 goal mark. I think it's a bit light at the moment. And I just think even if Port can cut out in the midfield, obviously they've got Wines and Boak at the top end, so they can definitely match Oliver and Petrarca in the middle. But I just think it's going to be one in Melbourne's forward half. That I think they'll be putting too much scoring on the board for Port to be able to offensively match them at this stage. So few stats pretty even. Melbourne have won 2 of their last 3 out at Adelaide Oval. It's a 2-2 split. And the unders have been very, very pro. I know we don't have a total yet, but the unders are 10-2 in this contest. So I don't think this will be a high-scoring game. I think it'll be maybe around the 160 range being at night as well. So at this stage, I lean to Melbourne, and they could get a few players back in their defensive half with Lever and Hibbard. At least Lever should maybe return this week. So I lean Melbourne's way in the early betting.
Okay, fantastic. Now let's have a quick look at the AFL-W Grand Final, which is going to be played on Saturday. So the Adelaide Crows are going to take on Melbourne. Adelaide Crows $1.67 and Melbourne $2.20. Approximate line at the moment is about 4.5.
Yeah, there was some pretty good prelims going. These are probably the 2 best sides. Finished 1-2 on the ladder, and last year's Adelaide played at home, lost to Brisbane in the grand final. So I think their 4th trip back in 6 years, Adelaide.
Yeah, wow.
So they're a pretty dominant side. For anyone following the women's stings that we were putting out social, we backed Adelaide for the flag at the 450 mark, probably at about round 4 or 5 of the season. So anyone who's followed that's got a ticket in the final. I don't think there's too much in this. I think the market's probably about right. I don't think it'll move too far. Just hoping Adelaide get the job on the day. So they should have a packed house at the Adelaide Oval come Saturday afternoon. Hopefully, I think it's going to be fine weather. So hopefully they put on a good show and Adelaide just get the job done.
Okay, there you go. In round 4, AFL-W, back the girls. And here they are in the final.
We need something to make up for the 0-3 weekend. So hopefully,
can't win them all. It's a long season. But here you are, AFL Stings for the AFL-W. You're killing it.
Oh,
Thanks, MG Punters. You can locate AFL Stings in the Little Birdie Live shop for $22 a week. You heard it there. He just said in round 4 and 5 they backed Adelaide for the AFL-W, and here they are in the finals. It's a sign of things to come for the AFL men's season. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with NRL and Toprope. Okay, welcome back to First Look, proudly brought to you by topsport.com.au. Family owned and operated for over 35 years. Bet with a bookie you can trust. Bet with TopSport. Okay, we're going to welcome in Nick Toprope Tedeschi for the NRL Round 4 review. Toprope.
Hello, Nick. It wasn't the most exciting round I kind of mentioned earlier in the NRL. We opened up with what was going to be described as an absolutely diabolical match between the Titans and the Tigers, and the round didn't really get a whole lot better. We saw some exciting footy on Sunday, but it was very one-sided. Friday night, the Sharks beat the Knights, who tried hard but just were no match for a Cronulla side that same looked very, very good. The grand final replay was a fairly one-sided affair. South shot themselves in the foot a fair bit there. Penrith 26-12. They were clearly the class of the league. Saturday, Warriors beat the Broncos in a nothing fixture. Seagulls kind of marked their kind of a sent back in. Des has finally got them kind of rolling. They beat Canberra 25-6, and it was a fairly good game in Mudgee. The Roosters absolutely thrashed the Cowboys, and the Roosters kind of, they're like Manly, they're kind of saying the warm run of the season. Certainly were helped by 3 sin bins and Todd Payton and Bob Deluxe after that game. So that was a fairly compelling affair for car crash watchers anyway. And on Sunday, Storm thrashed the Bulldogs 44-0. Trent Barrett seemed like he had no interest in coaching defence, as Ryan Papenhuyzen scored 4 tries. Your man, MG. And then Parramatta thrashed the Dragons 48-14 with some very leery, razzle-dazzle football, including a very good try for flick pass late in the game from Mitchell Moses. So some interesting stuff, but very one-sided weekend.
Can we just go back to the Chooks game? Interesting to see your take on those sin bins, because obviously that really changed the game for them.
First one, the Cowboys player, Tom Gilt, was utterly stupid. holding back a guy who shouldn't have or who wouldn't have played any role in scoring a try there. So idiotic. And the next two, absolute stupidity. What they were getting Sinbin for. I thought Payton's exactly right. Yeah, the bad clubs got bum raps when it kind of comes to 50-50 call. They weren't even 50-50. That was just good hard rugby league. So shouldn't have been penalised. You saw, earlier in the day, Jazz Tavanga going in with a cannonball tackle that should nearly have been a send-off, not get Sinbin. And then, and we saw kind of repeatedly worse behaviour. Blake Laurie, bad chicken wing, and then, pretty much open palms of the guy to the face in the dying minutes of the Eels-Dragons game with the match well and truly over. Stayed on the field. I didn't changed the game markedly. All the Cowboys were pretty resilient. Look, don't get me wrong, the Roosters deserve to win and win comfortably, but the Cowboys were given zero chance.
Now, we just have a look at some week 4 results here. So the faves, 7 out of 8 at 88%, covers 6 out of 8, 75%, over totals 2 out of 8, 25%, and the home team 7 and 8 at 88%. And if we go to the season, faves are sitting at 66%, covers are 44%, over totals 28%, and home teams at 66%.
Yeah, still seeing plenty of unders games. The games that went over were the daytime, the twilight game on Sunday in matches with double-figure lines. It was a big weekend for favourites. They certainly bounced back in terms of starting to cover. We do often see that kind of flip around kind of weeks 9 and 10. Probably not taking too much for it. There were some fairly hefty sized lines this week, so we weren't expecting a lot of close games, and they managed to get the job done. So, class is certainly going to tell going forward, but I certainly think you'd still rather be on the underdogs at this stage than on the favourites to cover.
Okay, now if we just have a look at the NRL Topropes round 4 results, we had 15 units bet. A loss of 10.7 units. So we got 1 of 5 correct. And we're sitting at just a small loss for the season, 4.34%.
Absolute debacle, truth be told. It was barely fired a shot. Got the unders and the Panthers going, snuck in by half a point there. But the Raiders never looked likely. The Cowboys never looked likely. I thought they were both good spots. Both did receive some backing, but wasn't to be. So you have those weeks. We'll move on to round 5.
And round 5, we do have Newcastle Manly at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle, 7:50 on Thursday night. Approximate odds at the moment, Newcastle 275, Manly $1.45, and the line's looking to be about 6.5. No totals yet. Yeah,
I'll be jumping all over the Knights in this one. Early thoughts. Big early season home underdog. Still not convinced about Manly away from Brookvale. Canberra had their chances, just couldn't put it away. Manly significantly improved last week, but I'll be more than happy to take the Knights here getting the big start on Thursday. Okay, we're just going to take a quick look now at the NRL Premiership market. Toprope, anything that you like here? Anything stick out? Any value? I've certainly been on the chooks the whole way, and I think the $7 there is still a more than fair price. Big shorteners have been, over kind of the opening month, have been Parramatta. They're firmly into single digits now. Super impressive, but to be fair, this is what the Eels do. They start the season well. They beat up on bad teams. We'll see. I'm certainly not quite prepared to put them in that top echelon of teams. The Sharks, on the other hand, have been consistently very, very good. So they're into $12 now. We tipped them out pre-season at $21. I think they are a side with the upside that they can kind of leap into the top 4. So we'll monitor them pretty closely. For mine, though, Melbourne, we're just doing Melbourne things on the weekend. They kind of, Ryan Papenhuyzen said before the game that it's been a very different pre-season for them, that they had a very different feel to it. They had a lot of players missing at the start. They've had some excuses. It was their first kind of complete performance. Yes, it was against the defending wooden spoon and a team that won't be challenging for a final spot this year, but it was really the Melbourne of old and kind of playing with that looseness that has marked who they have been over the last kind of couple of years. So, Melbourne for mine are the ones to beat. I know Penrith's a favourite. They've just beaten Souths again. Going back-to-back is a very, very difficult task. So I'd be more than happy to lay them at the moment. They are certainly looking very thin in terms of personnel as well. When they're their best sides on the paddock, they're obviously going to be very hard to beat, but not a lot of depth there.
Okay, now if you are serious about your NRL punting, head to Little Birdie TV. In the Little Birdie shop, you can get GGOA from $22 a week. Serious about NRL? Get GGOA. MG, now it's time for our best bets.
Yes, Nikki, that time of the week where we get our early prices in, you're up and about, you're rolling, you've tipped 3 in a row, you've knocked Toprope off the top of the leaderboard. He's none too happy about it, let me tell you. Especially when we go to the graphics, he sees his name sitting second. He's none too happy about it. But you got the last week's results just quickly. You got the Lions. You tipped them out at 33.5 at the start of the week. I think they closed 45-46. So not only did you crush the line, and then they went on one by over 100. So easy watch for you. Unfortunately, Toprope and myself did not get the job done. So for this week, Toprope, week 5 predictions. Sorry, we'll go to Nikki first, and she is the clubhouse leader. I didn't mean to leave you out. For Sids and Kids, you are playing for. Yes. Are you going AFL or NRL this week?
I'm swapping codes. I'm going back to the NRL, and I'm going to side with my babies here. So the Roosters at -9.5 to get the job done.
Okay, Roosters 9.5. Toprope for Wayside Chapel. Who are you picking in the NRL this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Knights to cover against Manly Thursday night. Let's get this done and dusted quickly.
I'm going to join you on Thursday night. Haven't had a great record on the first games of the year, but I like to get it out of the way. Melbourne, I'm going to bet the -13.5 there. As I said, the line is on the way up here, so getting quickly on that one. And they are the plays I'm playing for. Love me, love you this week. I need to catch can't give you any more start, Nikki. So that's it for this week. They're the early tips.
All right. That is a wrap for this week on First Look. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, download our podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow us on socials, Little Birdie TV, Twitter and Insta. Remember, all your footy betting action can be found at topsport.com.au. Don't forget to join the boys on Friday when OB hosts them, and we'll be back next week. Thank you. See you, punters.